started, skincare is essential, but makeup is a choice. Why do I say that? About 2/3 of us today have already experienced or will be experiencing some or the other kind of skincare problem in our lives. It could be acne, it could be pigmentation, it could be melasma, it could be fine lines and aging concerns, it could be graying of your hair, it could be anything to do with your skin health. And if you've already experienced it, you are here to find solutions. But if you haven't, prevention always works better than cure. Hello friends, I'm Dr. Sonam, a board certified dermatologist, founder and medical head at Srishti Skin Clinic in Thane. I've been in practice for a little over 10 years, and today I'm here to share with you my experiences on skincare and some basic general information on skin health. So it will be a pleasure if I can have this session interactive, wherein you guys can ask me questions. We already have received a bunch of questions already, but we'll try and accommodate as many as we can in the next coming 45 to 60 minutes. So it's a kind request for all of you having questions. Please send them across so we can have them answered. Why I feel skincare is very essential, more so in these days to come. Rightfully said, we're all going through a pandemic, we're all going through a crisis situation where most of us have either ourselves experienced it or our family and close knowns have been going through difficult times, going through infections, hospitalization, a lot of physical and mental stress all around. This is definitely something that is going to impact our overall health system and the skin in future. Why do I say future? Because as a dermatologist, we do understand that there are effects that stress and hormonal changes in the body does bring about to the way you look and feel about yourself, but it's not immediate. It is it takes some time. It takes around 6 to 8 weeks for you to really manifest those changes of stress or manifest those changes of hormonal imbalances that you go through during these times. So yes, dull looking skin, tired looking face, or probably anything to do with a very severe breakout of acne could all be related to this stress. And for all that you may know, trying your different remedies at home, your YouTube remedies suggested by influencers and stuff, they may work on other times, but when your problems are stress induced, mind it, none of these DIYs really work. What is the right thing to do then? In such cases, approaching your dermatologist is the first best thing to do, because that is exactly how you will have a clear understanding of what you're really going through. And once you figured out the problem, it's easier for the dermatologist to then give you a plan which you obviously will follow and will get relief from your problems. So let's talk one by one. How should I guide you about having the best skincare during these times? So nothing comes easy. We all know discipline is a must in life, and so it is in skin. A basic skincare routine is what puts things majorly in place. Now, a routine is not something you develop today and discontinue after a month. It's something that we expect you to be carrying forward with you as a practice in your everyday life. What is a good skincare routine? A cleanser, a moisturizer, and a sunscreen. These are the 3 pillars which are non-negotiable in skincare. When I say non-negotiable, you cannot opt out of any of these. And for people who claim I have oily skin, I don't need a moisturizer, or it's summer so I don't need a moisturizer, you have to improve your understanding of how the skin really looks at or behaves when you put a moisturizer. It really repairs the layers of the skin, which is in a way preventive and is also going to help you with repairing any kind of problem that you come across. It could be a repair of your barrier when you're dealing with acne. It could be the repair of your barrier when you're dealing with hand eczema, when you're washing your hand 10,000 times and it starts becoming dry and flaky. Your moisturizer is the one thing that will really come to your rescue. Similarly, if you're an acne patient who is on isotretinoin, on some kind of anti-acne applications, creams or gels, you could have an impacted barrier, and your moisturizer is the first thing that will help you sail through. Also, we are nowadays coming up with a lot of research on inflammation or micro-inflammation, which is basically responsible for everything from acne to aging. Moisturizing your skin on a regular basis with good ingredients like ceramides, squalene will help your skin be its best. So inflammation and chances of inflammatory damage will automatically become lesser. So a good cleanser according to your skin type, according to your specific concerns. a moisturizer no matter which season and which skin type you are, and a sunscreen. These again are non-negotiable pillars of a good skincare routine and should be followed. Second most important point that I must emphasize is consistency is the key. So anything that you do today and stop tomorrow is not going to take you anywhere. You got to be very, very regular with it and follow it to the T. Not by the tick of the clock, but yes, more or less close to perfection is what is expected when you're dealing with skin, because what you do every day is what your skin learns to respond to. So train your skin well and give it the right set of products. It will respond back favorably. Moving on, there are many videos or information content that is available which says use this, use this, use this, and there is a new product coming up every single day. It can become really one can really get overzealous with all this and have an aisle full of skincare products to be used, but not really sure of how to use them. So more products does not equal better skincare. No, it is not at all related. You may have the fewest of products but really effective ones, and the ones suitable for your concern is what will determine a good outcome. So too many products does not equate a better skincare regime. Don't fall into that trap. Moving on, I also want you to understand there's something called intuitive skincare, or minimalistic and intuitive skincare is rather the best way forward. What do I mean by this? Minimalistic is obviously minimum, how much you barely need, because anything that's over will tire you, will put you away, and you ultimately will stop doing that. So do only how much you can, but make it intuitive. What is intuitive skincare? Intuitive skincare basically means understanding the need of your skin as to what does it need at this moment. If it's winters, probably it's looking at a more creamy moisturizer, a more hydrating effect. So you should use a product which suits that concern. Versus if it's a dry skin, versus if it's a summer season, and it's already hot and humid outside, you could probably use a more liquid, light, ceramide based kind of a moisturizer, avoiding those shea butters and cocoa butters. So this is what I mean by intuitive skincare. And the best plan for that would be to have a dermatologist really assess your skin and tell you what it needs for you to use the right kind of products. Moving on, it is also implying that it's a big no to trending skincare. Just because vitamin C is in fashion today, not everybody really can land up using vitamin C. It doesn't become effective for everybody. It is a very well-known fact that if acne-prone patients or people with pimples start using a vitamin C serum, they are known to break out. So don't follow everything and anything that's trending. Same applies to AHAs and BHAs. We had a question. AHAs and BHAs are actually acids. They are very safe and time-tested and studied, but they're not for everybody. You got to understand which AHA will work for you and which product at what concentration is what is advisable for you. So not everything that's trending is for you, and keep that in mind. We will now take up some questions, and if you have any specific ones, you can please point them out. I'm already getting a couple of them. Just give me a minute till I go through the questions and I can actually answer them for you. Okay. Vinny is asking us, I have dry lips and dry eyelids. Is this because of a vitamin deficiency? Winnie, dry eyes and dry eyelids and dry lips for that matter. If it is not lips and it is perioral or around the lips also is what you're referring to, it could be anything like a fungal infection like seborrheic dermatitis, or it could be because of the dry skin texture and the dry skin type that you primarily have. Since we do not have more information on your basic skin type, I think you're referring to seborrheic dermatitis, which is more of a fungal infection. So yes, you should get in touch with your dermatologist. It is not just limited to vitamin deficiency. It is much more than that. And seeking medical help will be the right way forward. Probably they will be prescribing you some antifungals and topical steroids, which should help you sail through this seborrheic dermatitis. I am also getting a question. Just give me 1 minute, guys. Okay, what is AHA and BHA? Ambika is asking us, AHA is alpha hydroxy acid, while BHA stands for beta hydroxy acid. What does this literally mean? These are various skin acids which have been time tested, as I told you earlier. They've been researched enough and have been found to be effective in many skin concerns. AHA's examples could be glycolic acid, lactic acid, mandelic acid, and a host of them. Whereas BHA, we primarily are talking about salicylic acid. BHAs are good for people with oily and acne prone skin, whereas AHAs are more for people with combination to slightly drier skins. Lactic acid is something which is the mildest in the lot and is commonly preferred for people with dry skin, whereas glycolics in increasing concentrations, more than AHA, BHA, you also have to understand the concentration bit behind it. Glycolic acid could range anywhere from 6%, excuse me, could range anywhere from 6% to as high as 70%. And not everybody of you can tolerate the same strength. Your skin also has to be ready to accept the kind of AHA strength that I'm referring to. 6 to 12% is commonly what you'll find in home care products, but anything above 12% would generally require supervision by a dermatologist to analyze your skin before you really apply it. Alright, and I have a lot of tanning on the back and the face. So tanning is a burning question this summer season. We all, globally, most of us are indoors, locked down into places, not going out very much. And we tend to believe that tanning is something will happen that only if I go out, only if I step out is when I'm exposed to sunlight. No, my dear friends, this is again a very big myth. If you're indoors and there's enough sunlight, so much so that you don't have to switch on your tube lights or your LED bulbs to see, that light itself is enough to cause tanning. It has both UVA and UVB radiations, so both your tanning, sunburning and aging is a continuous process even if you're indoors. To combat this, you must use a sunscreen even when you're indoors, and you must still reapply it every 3 hours. It sounds a little too difficult, but trust me, once you develop the practice, it isn't as bad. And the amount of protection that it gives you will not show up in a day, 2 days, 15 days or a month of usage. So please don't discontinue if you're not seeing any change. You have to be continuous. It has to be many months and years. When you're continuously putting your sunscreens is when you really start observing the benefit it can give you. So for tanning, first, you must start using a sunscreen to prevent any further damage. As far as corrective methods are concerned, you can opt for some simple DIY remedies. For example, there is curd or yogurt available at home. You could put in a little bit of turmeric to that, add a little bit of honey, apply it on your arms, and that generally helps you sail through. The curd or the yogurt contains the lactic acid, which is again an AHA that would help you renew the upper dark layers. The honey would act as a humectant, which would add moisture to the skin, and the turmeric would act as an antioxidant, so preventing your skin from further sun damage. Give it a try and you can let us know your feedback if that works for you. We have a question from Kavita, which is PRP or volite treatment and peeling treatment. Kavita, these are too many questions. PRP is different, volite is different, and peeling is different. But looking at the three that you've given me together, I understand you're a person battling acne or pimples, and somebody has recommended these to you as a treatment for your active acne or scars, and which is why you're probably confused. So Kavita, if I am right, acne scars is a very complex subject because your scars are not all the same. They could be of different depths, they could be of different diameters, they could be of different shapes and sizes. So not one treatment really fits everybody, and not one treatment fits all the scars. So it's very important you understand each one of these that has been advised to you has a different role to play. For example, if in my clinic I was to do it, I was to offer a peeling more for control of active acne or more for control of pigmentation and dark spots associated with acne. I could also use a peeling like a TCA in a strength like 50% and plus to treat the ice pick acne scars, which are those literal sharp, pointed, deep-seated holes that you see in the face, which look more like open pores and can be confusing at some time. So yes, peeling can be used as a treatment there. PRP is more like your growth factors from the blood that are used for better collagen production. So for rolling scars, for deeper scars, for huge ones, or very large disfigurements on the face, PRP could be beneficial and should be used. As far as volite goes, volite is more like a hyaluronic acid which can be used because of its property to absorb water. Because it holds on to water, it kind of plumps up the face slightly. So it's a very low molecular, low G' product that we're really referring to when we're talking about volite. So it's more like a skin booster and not like a real filler. What this would simply do is it would even out the face by smoothing up those tiny little defects or bumps and depths that are left with after completing most of your scar treatment. So to give you that smooth, even finishing touch is where I would like to use Molite. Please suggest a cream for around the mouth pigmentation. Perioral pigmentation, Kalyani, is one, hormonal in most cases, two, associated with some triggering factors in the others. You got to figure out why the perioral pigmentation first. Only then can someone offer you a effective solution to that pigmentation. However, certain key things that you must understand when you're dealing with perioral pigmentation. The skin there is much different from the rest of the face. So you cannot really lather upon your AHA, BHA products that you were using on the face in the perioral area. It's got to be different. The skin there is softer, it's also thinner and more sensitive. So you have to understand you need a dedicated product with very mild exfoliating agents and skin lightening ingredients like kojic acid, arbutin would be better to be used in such areas. However, if the pigmentation is hormonal, and which lands up to be the case in most of the cases, it is difficult for the pigmentation to completely clear out. However, using these products will at least ensure that the melanin production is controlled, is limited, so it doesn't aggravate. And most importantly, if there are any known triggering factors to that pigmentation, you got to address them first. Alright, which is the best product for acne? Amna, acne can be different grades, acne can be different severities. It could be simple blackhead, whiteheads to the most complicated nodulocystic acne, which leave really bad, depressing and disfiguring scars. So figuring out your grade of acne will really decide what kind of a cream or a treatment should be recommended to you. However, products that contain retinoids like an adapalene, like a tretinoin, will be good things to add if you have acne, and they generally will help you in various different ways. They control your oil production, they treat your blackheads, they also help you exfoliate, so they also treat the existing acne and prevent the upcoming acne. However, tretinoin again is a strong product, should be used in required percentages as per prescription and not randomly. So have your skin assessed to know which one's best for you. Komal says, I have freckles on my face. Freckles is again another summer typical question that comes up when sun exposure is very high and the skin responds by melanin overproduction. How do you deal with it? Sunscreen, I told you, is the best. A good exfoliating cleanser will be a great addition to remove what is already damaged. And a good antioxidant regime in your diet as well as in your applications is something that will be the key to treat freckles, because antioxidants will help you prevent the damage too. It also helps you repair the damage almost instantly. So have a lot of antioxidant rich berries, vitamin C rich fruits and such things, they will be better. Okay, Afias is asking, I have pimples and appearing on my face again and again, and the same spot product, which should I use? Afias, it's the same thing. Your pimples needs to be graded first, and that's when we can decide the best treatment for you. Shalu says, मैं अभी सिर्फ 22 की हूँ पर फिर भी स्किन पे ग्लो नहीं है मेरा फेस, प्लीज सजेस्ट करें सोल्यूशन. शालू, ये समझना बहुत ज़रूरी है कि आपकी स्किन का ग्लो सिर्फ जो आप लगाते हो उसकी वजह से नहीं होता है. आप क्या खाते हो और आपका लाइफस्टाइल पैटर्न कैसा है ये डिसाइड करता है कि आपका फेस या आपकी ओवरऑल स्किन की हेल्थ कैसी रहेगी. अच्छा खाना, अच्छा सोना और साथ में थोड़ा एक्सरसाइज ऑन अ रेगुलर बेसिस इज व्हाट विल गिव यू द परफेक्ट कॉकटेल to have a good glowing skin. 22 or 42 does not really matter. Pranav is asking how to remove dead skin. Pranav, dead skin basically is a very normal thing. Since childhood, our skin has a renewal process. Every 28 days your skin produces a new layer and the upper dead layer naturally discards off. What really changes with age is this cycle. As you grow older, the cycle increases from 28 days to probably 35, 40 and even longer. Dead skin, if stuck on for a longer time, will make you look dull. And that's why exfoliation is very, very crucial and important. However, overdoing it is wrong, and hence you must first pick up an exfoliator which is according to your skin type. It could be physical or chemical, and the frequency should be according to how much is needed for your age and skin type. I have seborrheic dermatitis and now I'm applying what my doctors told me, but now it is happening. Seborrheic dermatitis is more of a continuous condition. It does have periods of activity and no activity. So don't discontinue your seborrheic dermatitis products. Go back to your dermatologist for a follow-up and they will help you with what is the regular care that you can take to avoid having it again and again. which ingredients are good for sunscreens. Prachi, sunscreens can be physical and chemical both. You got to understand which age group is using it. Also, in chemical sunscreens, we nowadays have a lot of criteria as to UVA, UVB, you have infrared, you have blue light protection, you also have tinted sunscreen. So which ingredients are you really looking at will depend upon what kind of a sunscreen have you finalized to use. Girls can shave their face to remove dead skin. Dermaplaning, for that matter, is a procedure where we use a medical blade or a surgical blade, rightfully, to exfoliate the dead layers. Now, because it's a blade, obviously your facial hair also does come across. But that does not mean shaving is the right way to remove your facial hair or facial skin, for that matter. To remove facial hair, yes, shaving is still a suitable method and can be used. But if you're really targeting to remove dead skin, there is much easier options available than shaving your face. You could use a good scrub, you could use a physical exfoliator like a microdermabrasion cream that is available, or probably you could simply grind up oats in the house, mix it with curd, and then gently try to scrub the face a little bit. That can also do the job. पूनम asks, मैम मैंने peeling करवाई थी but मुझे peeling नहीं हुई face पर. पूनम, peeling is not just one bottle used for everybody. It is different quality of acids, different percentages or concentrations of acids that really need to be figured out. If it was a 6%, 10% or a 20% glycolic acid, most likely you're not going to peel. It's only above a certain threshold concentration is when your skin really shows you visible peeling. Kavita is asking, hair fall due to PCOS or PCOD. PCOD by itself is a very large topic and can be an entire live session in its own self. But what is crucial here to know, Kavita, is PCOS gives you increased sensitivity to testosterone, which obviously causes hair fall. So reducing your insulin resistance and reducing your testosterone sensitivity in the blood is what are the two key factors you must work upon if you want to correct hair fall because of PCOD. Speak to your dermatologist. There are many good options available. Dolly is asking, acne की वजह से बहुत pores हो गए हैं, कैसे ठीक होंगे? Dolly, most likely pores जो हैं वो acne की वजह से नहीं है, pores की वजह से आपको acne आते हैं. So pores is basically your oil glands. If they are secreting too much oil, they generally will be larger in size and will be more prominently visible on the face. However, once you've developed acne and you develop ice pick scars, even they will look like pores. So if you're confused between open pores and acne scars which don't seem to resent, you need help from a dermatologist and you will most likely need a treatment. I'm using AHA BHA peel at home. Using this, when can I start using my retinol? AHA BHA are already exfoliators. Using a retinol, I'm not against it, but then you got to time it well and you got to understand how much and where to stop. Speak to your dermatologist or the prescribing physician, that will help you finalize the answer. Solution for dandruff. Okay, dandruff relatively easy. There are people who have dandruff because of not washing their hair properly, not washing their hair frequently. I have a couple of patients who wash their hair only once a week. It's not okay because it's so hot and humid outside. It's generally advised you wash your hair at least twice a week and if possible even thrice. For people who are exposed to pollution, people who are exposed to dust, smoke on a daily basis or have a very sweaty, oily scalp, washing even every day is absolutely fine. You just have to pick up a shampoo which is mild enough or gentle enough to cleanse the scalp and not damage the hair. Ma'am, please suggest a good cream for clear skin. Clear skin is not something which can be achieved by one particular thing or one particular cream. It may have different concerns, and what is clear skin will need to be defined according to your individual question. However, sunscreen is the one cream that I can recommend blindly to anybody who's aiming to have good, healthy, glowing skin. So yes, get regular with your sunscreen if you want clear skin. I have light pigmentation, 38 years old, so which sunscreen is good for dry and pigmented skin? Particularly people with pigmentation who are looking to find a good sunscreen. I must tell you there are very good tinted sunscreens available. No brand names of course, but then I am going to tell you that tinted sunscreens also contain iron oxide as an additional ingredient in the product. And this provides a much superior coverage as far as sun protection is concerned. Also, tinted sunscreens will act as a BB cream or a foundation and will help you conceal the pigmentation, making you feel much better. So people with pigmentation definitely must opt for tinted sunscreens. Which is the best shampoo for dandruff? For dandruff, anything that contains ketoconazole, anything that contains cetirizine or anything that contains salicylic acid can also work very well. It's not so much of what it contains versus how you use. I've seen people use the best of anti-dandruff shampoos, applied and washed away in a couple of seconds. It doesn't work like that. It's a product which has an active ingredient. You have to let it be on the scalp for it to work. Ma'am, can I use a particular brand in lactation? Yes, as far as the referred brand is concerned, you can use it, but then for any other active product, you need to be speaking to your treating doctors. I've got so much of forehead pimples, how to get rid of it? Forehead pimples again is another indicator of a scalp problem. Either you're oiling your hair too much, you're leaving on the oil for a very longer time, or probably you have a dandruff infection. Get that assessed. If you are oiling, you must understand you don't need to oil it anywhere longer than 30 minutes. So no overnight business, no 2-3 days leaving the oil in the hair. Apply it and rinse it off after 30 minutes. Second, if you have dandruff, use a suitable anti-dandruff shampoo and wash your hair frequently. Your forehead dandruff, your forehead pimples should clear up. Please suggest a good vitamin C serum, please. Vitamin C serums, more than good or bad, you need to assess two things. One is the concentration, two is the formulation. The concentration should be anywhere 20% and plus. As far as the formulation is concerned, it has to be a stable formulation. Vitamin C is a very, very labile product, something that when exposed to simple air and sunlight becomes inactive. So you may have the most expensive vitamin C bottle, but if the formulation is not stable, it will turn amber color or yellow in a few days. And such a solution is not working, is not active, and should not be used. So instead of finding which one is a better brand, look for a good formulation, look for a good concentration. Alright, I don't think I have missed any question, but in case if I have, guys, you can please send it again. No, I don't think I have missed anything, but in case if there's any question, you can please send it again. Suggest something for white hair and premature graying. Hair is not a topic for today, but nonetheless, white hair is also a part of aging, and you need to understand how aging proceeds. Basically, your body undergoes wear and tear. The repair mechanisms are active on an almost everyday basis. It's when the repair is slower and the damage is still happening at a much faster rate is when the balance shifts towards the negative side and you start seeing signs of aging. It could be graying of hair, it could be development of fine lines, it could be wrinkles, it could be any form of aging. So what you have to do is you have to accelerate the repair processes and control the damaging processes. Now, how can you do that? Good sleep, a healthy balanced diet, and regular exercise. Guys, there's no shortcut to it. You have to do it the right way. For eyelid darkening, please suggest something. See, just like the perioral area we were talking, even eyelids is something which is a very delicate, sensitive, and a thin area. So not everything that works on the face is a good choice for the eyelids. There are very good specific products available for the eyelids wherein we do have lightening ingredients like kojic acid, we have arbutin, we have vitamin C. We could also have something like tranexamic acid nowadays, which works very well. Vitamin K, even retinol in micro encapsulated forms, which means the delivery technique is such that it is a very gradual release. So even if a product as strong as retinol can still be used in the under eye area, but if it is formulated well, that slow release will help you get the benefit without the irritation part of it. Ma'am, please suggest a face wash for brightening skin. See, any face wash that has an AHA or a BHA, because in face washes the concentrations of AHA and BHA are generally on the lower side. So if you're battling dull skin, if you're battling pigmentation, or you just want simple glowing healthy skin, a regular exfoliation is a great idea. And considering this face wash with either 1% glycolic acid or 2% salicylic acid is not very strong, I would say. You can surely go ahead and use that. However, if you are a person with extremely dry and sensitive skin, these should be avoided. You could rather use something which is more hydrating, which is more moisturizing, or oat based, because these will soothe your skin, calm down your skin, and help it glow and look better. Is under eye filling safe? As far as I would extrapolate this question to any kind of a treatment, doctor, is doing a treatment safe, is what I'm most often asked in my clinic. The way I answer to this is, you drive a car, it's not always you who is at fault. It could sometimes be the person behind you in the next car who could also create an accident, who could also be the reason of an accident. Does that mean you stop driving? No, we all do, right? So we take the benefit of driving, but we do understand it carries a certain amount of risk. We negotiate this risk and bring it to a minimum by being a careful driver, by being responsible when we are doing it. So same happens to treatments. Does a treatment have a side effect? Yes, absolutely. All treatments can have side effects, and I'm not wanting to scare you. But yes, anything can go wrong. Question is, who is performing it? If it is your dermatologist who is well trained to handle those side effects, trust me, nothing happens. But even if there are very few instances where things can develop unexpectedly, your dermatologist is the right person who is trained to reverse those effects or handle those effects. So please, having side effects for under eye filling, it is a sensitive area. It's about an injection. There are a few expected side effects. There are a few unexpected ones. The expected ones, most likely your dermatologist will speak to you about and guide you and prepare you for. However, the unexpected ones are something we definitely, all of us, want to avoid. If such a thing happens, your dermatologist is the place that you should be for them to figure it out and fix it. Don't run from random sources trying to fix solutions. They don't help. Is a tea tree face wash good for oily skin? Absolutely. Tea tree face washes are, tea tree oil is an essential oil that has antibacterial properties and oil controlling properties. So yes, it solves both the purposes and is a good option for an oily skin person. Okay, do we have any more questions? I guess there were a few questions that were asked on the page even before we started. Let me see if I can get access to them. The very first question that I have is, when should I apply an eye gel? Before a sunscreen or before a moisturizing cream? So let's talk about layering of skin products. Layering of skin products is important to understand because one over the other can sometimes lead to less absorption of the second one and less effectiveness. So how do we really fix this? It's very simple, guys. You got to understand that when you layer, you have to start from the thinnest consistency to the thickest product, which means if you have a serum, that will go first after your face wash. Then if you have a gel, that goes next. A cream will be on top of a gel. And finally will be your sunscreen. Now, where you can't go wrong is your sunscreen. Your sunscreen has to be the last product that you apply on the face. Reason? It is actually going to form a shield on the skin which prevents the sunlight from entering and damaging the skin. So anything applied over a sunscreen is very less likely to really get absorbed. So start with a serum, proceed to a gel, top it up with a cream, and then follow it up with your sunscreen. Is there any solution to reduce face puffiness? Face puffiness can be because of many factors. It could be an internal problem leading to swelling. It could be lack of drainage of the lymph around your eyelids or around the entire face. So in such situations, particularly if you're not sleeping well, if you're exerting yourself too much, you could have puffiness of the under eyes or puffiness of the entire face. Try relaxing a little bit. If it is particularly about the under eye areas, you could use green tea bags which you've cooled in the refrigerator. They would help you with the skin, and also a little bit of a gentle massage in specific directions. There are enough videos available on YouTube to understand which is the right direction and method of a face massage. Gentle massaging probably once in 10-15 days would just help you. And you could also use those tools available these days like the jade rollers and so many other options. You can use them. How much do they really offer as a benefit for skincare is questionable, but then they can be used as devices to drain the lymph definitely. That doesn't harm. And once you drain the face, the puffiness should be better. Acne caused by face masks. The pandemic is far from over, guys. Mask is going to be a reality for many more months. And we need to understand getting acne because of masks is not something unexpected. It was going to happen if you're going to cover up your face for the longest times. And there are a few mistakes that people often do, which then results in maskne. The first and the most important, reusing the masks. So if you're out for longer periods of time, people generally tend to dispose of their mask. But if you are a person who goes out for 10 minutes and comes back, keeps the mask as it is and uses it the next time, this is wrong. No matter 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you've used it, either have it washed and then reuse it, or dispose it and use a fresh one. Second, use cotton based masks and use light colored masks. People buying those black masks with a thick double layer protection, good for COVID, but then you need to understand it also adds to the humidity and the temperature on the skin. And this is what is going to result in more oil production, more acne, and easier spreadability. Any laser treatment for macular amyloidosis which can remove it permanently. Rheuma macular amyloidosis is not something which is just on the outside. It's actually a protein which is wrongly being deposited in the skin. So if you cannot fix the internal issue, you cannot fix the progress. However, there are medicines available which can help you fix that. So first treat the internal problem, then comes the question of treating it or correcting it externally. In such cases, most likely creams and exfoliators or exfoliating treatments are the ones first preferred. Once the skin thickness is controlled and achieved to satisfaction, you could then look at pigmentation correction lasers like the Q-switched. They do help in lightening of the pigmentation, but complete clearance is really difficult. Please suggest a good anti-aging cream. Okay, so anti-aging creams, Janak, is not one ingredient. Again, not everybody needs the same. There are a few good ingredients that you must consider. For example, retinol being the first and the most obvious one. However, with retinols, you have to be careful with how you start, how much you start, the time of application, and the duration of contact. You have to be building it up. See, an anti-aging cream is not something 1 bottle, 2 bottle, 3 months course, 6 months course, and you're going to stop. It's going to be more like a routine. So think of it like a plan. You're going to start with a low concentration, build it up, make your skin ready for more, and that's how you will escalate the path. Renewal of your collagen, renewal of your elastin, and regular removal of your dead layers is what basically contributes most to anti-aging. So ingredients like retinol, ingredients like a glycolic acid, ingredients like peptides, which are for somebody with more sensitive kind of skincare who can't really use retinol or cannot use retinoids in their skincare. Peptides, haloxyl, these are ingredients you can look for. Rima also asks, what is bridal skincare routine? And I've read a lot about glutathione and is it effective? See, glutathione is a fantastic antioxidant. When I say antioxidant, what does it do? It repairs your skin damage. Skin damage from what? Skin damage from sun, skin damage from toxins, skin damage from pollution, and so many other things. So what if it was really that magic ingredient which could repair everything? Good, it is definitely going to help you. So as a bride, probably if you're considering whitening of your skin, lightening of your skin, a glowing skin, or a healthy looking skin also, antioxidants are definitely the way to go. Glutathione is one of them. But if you ask me about the longevity of how long is it going to stay and how long is it going to be effective, you are supplementing glutathione. It is also naturally present in your body. So when you stop the glutathione dosage that you are taking, there is obviously going to be a slight dip in that. So be ready that the effects are not going to be permanent and long lasting, but yes, they are beneficial. As a bride, you can surely consider them. Tips to control blackheads on the cheeks, ma'am. Okay. So blackheads on the cheeks is the mildest grade of acne that you can know. It is blockage of a pore because of excess oil production and trapping of the dead skin and the sebum within the gland. So it looks like a black little tiny opening which most of us are tempted to extract but should not be attempted. However, how do you control them? You have to use products or ingredients which reduce this oil secretion so that the blockage does not happen on a frequent basis. Again, a retinol, a BHA are two of my favorite ingredients that I look for if I'm dealing with blackheads. Also, benzoyl peroxide is a great molecule that we haven't spoken so far about. It is also an exfoliator. It is also an antibacterial agent, so doesn't let this blackhead get converted into a real big nasty pimple. So yes, these are options you can use to control blackheads on the nose. Regular application is a must, not only when you have a blackhead. My skin is drooping from the lip area and the under eye. My age is 33. What should I do? Prasanna, drooping angles of the lip or corners of the lip, and a drooping eyelid. These are all indicators of collagen loss and probably even muscular weakness at times. So when we're referring to collagen loss, or we're referring to thinning down of the skin, it's a process that happens during aging. So replenishing the collagen loss and hyaluronic supplementation in the form of fillers, in the form of options like lasers and threads. See, it all depends on what is the kind of correction that you're looking at. Are you looking at an instant correction? Are you looking at a long-term correction? And there could be treatments which could be planned. If you're looking at anything instant, probably a filler, a thread is a suitable option. But if you're looking at a long-term solution, maybe HIFU is a better choice, or a monopolar radiofrequency will be a better choice. So plan, discuss with your dermatologist and figure out what really is that you want. We have another interesting question. Does pH really matter in skincare? It's a very good topic that I feel needs a lot of enlightenment. pH in skincare is very, very critical. And why is it so important? We as dermatologists know AHAs and BHAs are so effective. There's so much being said about it. But still, every time I see a dermatologist recommending something online or giving information online, we ask the patient to be careful. We ask the consumer to be careful. Don't use anything and everything. Why are we always making that point? Because the pH of a product can really decide whether it's working the good way or the bad way. So if you have a glycolic acid which is at a pH of say 1.5 to 2, you can actually burn your skin. But the same glycolic acid in a cream base at a pH of around 3.5 to 4 could be okay for a home care product. So that's how important pH can be to your skin. But what I often feel is very neglected is the use of bleach. I am using a herbal bleach. Is bleach good for my skin? I've been always doing it for so many years together are common comments that we get to hear. But do we all realize a bleach is a highly alkaline product? It's absolutely not suitable for your skin, and I strongly recommend it not to be used. However, if facial hair is a concern, which brings people to me saying that if I don't bleach, what do I do about my facial hair? Guys, let me tell you this, shaving is the best option if you don't want anything else. So shaving off your facial hair saves the mess. Don't go for bleaches. They can really ruin your skin. They can even make it very sensitive, dry and red. So that's how important pH can be in your skincare. Tips for healthy skin in an AC environment. AC environment, what's really different from the outer environment? Two major differences. One is you're always exposed to a very dry kind of a surrounding. The humidity levels are very, very low. So in such situations, the transepidermal water loss, that's the water that you are losing inadvertently from your skin, is very high. So your skin tends to become very, very dry. And hence moisturization of your skin on a frequent basis is the first thing that you should be really considering. And nothing more different about an AC environment, but yes, gentle cleansers, good moisturizers and a sunscreen is crucial. How to care for combination skin. Combination skin, in my understanding, is little oilier zones around the T-zone of the face and a little dryness around the sides of the face. How do you really combat this, or how do you really effectively treat this? In such cases, what I like to do is I prescribe them a mild cleanser, active ingredient for the T-zone, which I ask them to skip on the sides of the face. I'd rather give them a moisturizer which could I'd give them an additional moisturizer which could, compensate for the areas that I've missed applying the active product on. And a sunscreen that simply does the job. So you can combine things, but you should know how and when to combine. For example, if you're making a face mask at home and you want to use it on the T-zone which is oily, you could use a Multani Mitti or a Fuller's Earth based mask on your T-zone which is really oily, but then you don't need it around your neck, you don't need it around your jawline. So you could ask or make up for something which is a yogurt based mask, which is a little more hydrating for those areas of the face. PRP or Volite, which is better for increasing the collagen on the face. Kavita, both of them will help you increase the collagen, though Volite will be too mild. Volite is just a skin booster and doesn't really have too much of research on the fact that it promotes collagen building or collagen production on the face. PRP, as against, is well researched. We know about the growth factors that are present. We know that it promotes neocollagenesis, that is formation of new collagen. So backed by science and research, I would say PRP is a viable choice. Okay, do we have any more questions? I think I've answered most of them. If there's anybody remaining who wants to ask more questions, you all are please welcome. We would be ending the session in the next 5 minutes. So anybody left, you all can please plug in and let me know how I can help you. Meanwhile, guys, if you've liked the answers that I've given you, and if you wish to connect with me in future, I am available on Instagram as dermatologist.drsonam. I would love to associate with anybody of you and help you further if I can. You can follow my page and we can connect up one more time. Prasanna says, how can I increase collagen? Okay, so see, collagen is really a big protein. There is a big fad about collagen supplements also going on these days. Collagen supplements are not really actual collagen that you're taking in a powder form. It doesn't work like that. It's too big as a molecule to be absorbed from your intestine and really get deposited somewhere in the skin. No, it's actually collagen which is broken down into smaller peptides or smaller particles, which is easier for the gut to absorb and then will be available in the skin for formation of the new collagen. But eating doesn't directly give rise to collagen. What is the missing link? There is something which is called the collagen formation process or the collagen remodeling process. That is something that has to be active for those peptides to be used to form the new collagen. So repair process or a regenerative process at the level of the skin is the missing link. If you've been eating collagen supplements, it's not really doing the job. You must combine it with some rejuvenating procedure or some collagen building procedure. HIFU, PRP, these are various different threads, is wonderful different options available. So if you are activating the repair process and consuming the peptides is when it will really do the magic. Any post-acne dark spots that can be used without prescription, there is enough available. There's azelaic acid available as a serum. There is niacinamide available as a serum. All of these can help you with post-acne dark spots and you can easily get them without a prescription. Kavita is asking us about dark underarm treatment. Dark underarm treatment can be because of a multitude of reasons. The most commonest being acanthosis nigricans. What this simply means is because of your obesity, because of your weight is why your underarms and all other folded areas of your skin will become dark. How do you really correct this? There are treatment options available to lighten it, but if you don't fix the internal issue, you're going to get it back again. So how do you really fix the internal issue? You have to understand losing weight is crucial. And when I say losing weight, I don't mean by not eating. I mean by exercising. So yes, you have to be conscious towards what you're eating. You can't have all the junk and say I'm trying to lose weight. But at the same time, what's more important than your diet is your exercise. When you're exercising, your insulin hormone actually becomes more effective. So the resistance bit of it goes away and that's how your acanthosis nigricans can really improve. Work on your exercise routines and please guys, brisk walking in the garden is not exercise. Really gear up to have some proper exercise. Prasanna, you need my details to connect. I've already told you I'm available on Instagram as dermatologist.drsonam. That's my profile. That's my handle. You can connect with me and we can catch up later. Anybody else? Have I missed any questions or else we wind up for the day? Okay, I don't think I have missed any. Hope you guys had fun. Hope it was informative for you and you got something to take away back home. Remember the 3 most important points that I say about skincare. Skincare is very, very essential. Today you have a problem, you're looking for a fix. But if you don't have one, you should also look for prevention because prevention works better than cure. So skincare is essential whether you have a problem or you don't. Skincare is very, very essential. 2, a minimalistic skin routine is the best way to go. 3, consistency is the key. So catch up with a dermatologist, know what's right for you and follow it well. This is going to be the best advice that I can give you on a note in such times. So Hope it helped you guys, and I will now take a leave. We can catch up later and connect later. Thank you so much for joining in, and it was fun to have a conversation. Thank you.